Hi everybody, welcome back to Hideaway Homestead. We got some interesting news going on today. This is a real game changer for us. We found our second well on the property. We had been looking for this thing and we never could find it, and it took us forever to find it. So finally we found it hidden in this clump of trees over here, and so we're going to show you what we've done with that. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up and comment. And tell your family and friends about our channel.
When we first bought this property and when we looked into the property was listed as having 2 wells and a complete septic tank because people had lived here. There was a double-wide mobile home here and a lot of other things going on this property before they decided to sell it. But it had been quite a while since someone had lived here, and the owners were now living in another state. So we found one of the wells right away, just walking around. It's right off the main drive into the property, and that was no problem. We could not find the other well. And at the closing, or at the time of closing, we asked the former owners to mark on a layout of the property where this other well was. And they put an X on a box that was about this big, just showing the whole property, the whole 5 acres, and someplace on there was an X with very little to compare to or to relate to as far as the layout of the property. We looked everywhere. This is an idea of what most of the area that had the X on it, that it looked like. There were a lot of scrub oaks, we call them, or shrub oaks, which is scrub oaks, and a lot of undergrowth, palmettos, things like that in the whole area. And there were also a lot of fallen trees because before we bought it, there was an uncontrolled control burn that burned through this area and destroyed a lot of the things on the property. So we were going about for many months, wasn't it, Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Every time we cut up some of those fallen trees or cleared some more land, we were always looking for this other well. And one day, it was months into the process, and we'd pretty much given up hope of ever finding it. You know, it just seemed like it should be so obvious, but it wasn't. One day, Kevin was cutting down a fallen tree, or cutting up a fallen tree, and I was holding something to keep it out of his way, or something like that, and all of a sudden I went, "Stop, Kevin, stop!" And I said, "Look," and just feet from where he was standing was the remains of this other well. And so we have been so excited to find that, but that's been 3 or 4 years since we've had a chance to develop it. And so this is a major thing for us to have found it, first of all. And what a day of rejoicing that was, and what a day of rejoicing when Kevin and our neighbor were able to get this new one going. So let us show you what it is.
When we finally discovered the other well, this is what we saw. And it was just the pipe sticking out of the ground, this much, and then the rest of this we added, obviously. But we bought a pump and got all the piping and everything for it and hooked it up. We didn't know if this thing was even going to work or not. I ended up taking a hose and turning it on and shoving it down in the pipe to wash all the leaves and all the debris out of there that had collected in there over the years, and found that there's actually a check valve down in the ground inside this pipe, which was a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it kept a lot of that debris and stuff from getting down into the well and stopping it up. So we got that all cleared out. We bought pipes, hooked this thing up, and turned it on, and it works. We were so excited.
Oh, yes.
Right now, we just have a wire hooked up to it, and we have an extension cord out here that we just plug it into. We're going to eventually hook this up to permanent power, obviously, so we can run it all the time. We didn't want to go to all that trouble and expense and everything of doing all this stuff, and wiring it and plumbing it and all that kind of thing if it wasn't going to work. So that's the reason this is like a temporary thing for us. So we've got a little, we call it a standpipe right here with a hose hooked to it, and we can run this out to the garden and water the garden, and that works out good. But eventually this is all going to change, and we'll put a tank out here and all, the whole works. But anyway, but for now, we've got a pump that works, and we are very excited about it because this has really opened up a whole lot of stuff for us by having this available.
One of the blessings to us is the pressure that is coming out of here, because all this time with the other well, we didn't have enough pressure in the way it was set up, so we could never run sprinklers on the other well, and so everything had to be hand watered. We're very grateful for that other well, and we use that for the house and water in there, but to stand and water our gardens is very time consuming in the hot sun in the summer, so this is great. It just gushes out. We'll show you how much pressure we've got.
Yes.
But anyway, just for perspective, this is just crazy to me where this ended up being. Now, we built our own house. Kevin and I together built this house, and so here we are. Wow, what is that, Kevin? 50 feet?
If even
from,
that, yeah.
From where we ended up putting the house and setting it on this hillside. And then probably another 50 feet this direction is where our farrowing pen is, and right beyond that is the pig pen. And then we've got this shed that we moved here years ago, and beyond that is where we put our chicken coop. So it's crazy that this is in an area that is just so close to where everything else is these days. So now that we have tested it and there is water coming out of this well, out of this pump, now we started digging a trench. Talked about renting a trenching machine, but decided we'll just do it ourselves, and we made pretty good progress. This is probably the hardest part that we will be doing because there's so many roots from all of the undergrowth here. So we're going this way, and we're going to make a stop at our brown shed here so that we can outfit the shed with a bathroom maybe in the future, or a small kitchen. And also just to have a spot there. Might even have an outside shower available. So anyway, we got that far, and then from there we will move on towards the garden out here. So let me make that a little bit easier to see. That's going to be a long dig. A long trench to go out there, but that way we will have water available out at the garden itself. So the next part of the project will be to go from that corner of the shed on down here to the garden, and then beyond the garden we will be able to, and in this trench we're going to put both the water and power, so we can have power out here to the garden, maybe to have a light or something like that we might want, or even a timer for watering. And then beyond the garden is the high tunnel, and so we will need power in the high tunnel and also water to water the plants that are in there. And beyond the high tunnel is what we're calling our goat shed, where we hope to have goats in the future. So they will have water out there and power out there. So this one trench will be long, but will have many functions for us. So rather than running extension cords or these hoses, I mean, we've got a hose that comes down here all the way back up to the house. So, yeah, this is going to be great for us. And we're just so grateful to God that this all worked out, and that we had friends to help us, and that things went well. We don't have the bladder tank hooked up yet. Or that's what I call it. What are we supposed to? Okay, bladder tank, that works. So we don't have that pressure control, but we've got it all ready to go. So maybe by the end of this long weekend, we can get that in place. At this time, we're just using an extension cord and pumping just directly. So, we get to show you the excitement. Here we go. Plug it in. Wow. I haven't seen this instantaneous pressure. Oh, wow. That is just so exciting for us to have this other source of water. How exciting, Kevin!
Pretty neat, huh?
Oh, I love it.
It's got some serious pressure to it.
Oh, yes. What a blessing. Oh, cold too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. No use watering the woods that have already gotten several inches of water this week from rain, so.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us here on Hideaway Homestead. Come back again and join us and see what the progress on this is. We still got a long way to go because we're not there yet. But we're going to hopefully try to videotape this as we go and show you the whole process, and then you'll get to see what we end up with down at the other end of the property. So until next time, thanks for joining us.